Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sam Kingery Show. I'm the host, Sam Kingery, where we talk about all things USA sports and sports in general. For the last month, we've been focusing on the World Cup, and a lot of the focus has been on the U.S. men's national team, of which I'm a fan of. I'm a American citizen. I love this team. And today is the most unfortunate episode of them all. The USA's rather just terrible loss to Belgium in the round of 16, 4-1 loss to Belgium. I would have recorded this sooner, but a little bit of life and just stuff got in the way. Also, I'm kind of glad I didn't because I think I would have said things I would have ended up not meaning just out of just anger because of how bad they played and how big of a game it was. But let's talk about the game to start. So the lineup that Pochettino put out for the United States was fine. It was the correct lineup. It was the lineup we've been using, full strength. Balogun was in the lineup because of the rather interesting FIFA decision to rescind the red card. I will talk about that entire controversy in a different video. I just want to talk about the game and the result, and my feelings about the USA in this game, and uh, you know, just kind of a little bit of the aftermath. But other things like the Balogun decision, the future of the team, and things like that will be happening all very soon. But as for this game, the lineup was fine. Belgium decided to go with a younger, more athletic lineup against us, which I think was a super important decision for them to not have KDB. Lukaku has not been starting any games, comes in as a super sub anyway, but not starting KDB and starting younger defenders, it definitely made an effect because of the athleticism of that lineup. From the first minute, we gave up a shot in the first minute. Matt Freese actually made a really good save the first minute to keep that long shot from going out. But from the jump, we looked like a different team than we had all tournament. We looked like the team from Copa America. We looked like the team that played Belgium earlier this year. We looked like the team from the Nations League last year. Not we weren't confident. We weren't sure what to do with the ball. Shaky in defense. Fragile and just I don't know if we necessarily looked like this outside of like the Copa when we needed a result versus Uruguay, but like scared. We looked scared, but it was weird. It was from the jump. And I don't know what all led into that. I can speculate. I can. There's been tons of online discourse, whether it was because of the politicism of the Balogun decision, playing a big European team, the moment itself, because this was arguably the biggest game the United States has had and since the Belgium game in 2014, and honestly kind of bigger because it's a home World Cup and with the eyes on it and with the team we have, with the talent that we claim and we want to say we have. It was just a huge game, and I don't know. I can't say for sure. I'm not in that locker room, so I don't know whether that was the factor, but we came out just like a different team than we'd seen since the start of the pre-World Cup camp when we played Senegal, then Germany, and then obviously Paraguay, Australia, Turkey, and Bosnia. We look like a completely different team from that team, and I'm sure lots of things went into that, but very disappointing to not even start and like not even be that swashbuckling, hard to play, gritty, never say die team that we look like in before in this tournament. If we would have played that way, if we would have played that style and still lost this game, it would have felt so much better than what actually ended up happening, which is we gave up an early goal. Um, and and we it wasn't like the worst goal to ever give up, but it wasn't great. If I remember correctly, Sergiño Dest and Alex Freeman went out. Didn't Oh no, Alex Freeman headed the ball and that he defended decently. Sergiño Dest just stops moving towards the ball and stands in the box. Many players just stood in the box, let the ball fall, and then it went to a Belgian player. They crossed it and goal. And that's just not the way we needed to start that game. But that doesn't mean that we were out of the game necessarily, but we had to have a response. And we ended up actually having a response. We still didn't, it's not like our response was that we made we started creating a bunch of chances and that we started like dominating the game. We just ended up getting a free kick, and and all of a sudden, 31st minute, Malik Tillman scores another direct free kick. Um, and Malik Tillman was really fantastic this tournament. I'm kind of gutted for him. Did not have a good first half outside of this, but no one on the team did. The biggest moments, the best moments for us in this game were that goal, Matt Freese's first save, um, and that's about it, honestly, from what I remember. But the problem is, less than a minute later, basically, we give up. Like a minute later, we give up another goal, poorly defended. Tim Ream gets bodied, and just all the problems for the United States that we thought could be a problem coming into this tournament reared their ugly head. The problem of the defense, with whether we could trust Tim Ream with his age and what his athleticism could be, the shakiness of the defense in general, and whether this team could who had struggled to prove that they could play under pressure. I mean, their biggest under pressure games so far in their tenures have been World Cup 2022, which they played. They had a great game versus England, should have beat Wales, but Walker Zimmerman had a crazy tackle in the box, which led to a Gareth Bale equalizer penalty. Beat Iran, but barely, and then just got demolished by the Netherlands. So like the best game of that is probably England. They came out really, really tough versus England. The Copa America, we won the game we 100% should have, and then we just were inept kind of the rest of it due to a red card versus Panama. Tim Weahs punching another a Panamanian player early in the game, and then Uruguay. Just that game was a debacle in itself with refereeing and everything. And then this World Cup, which we played high pressure games. I feel like, we had pressure on us as the hosts and the fans, and travel and great things because we were the hosts, and a pot A, group where we were one of the best teams in the group instead of having to play one of the powers of the world. We were the pot A team, and so that was less pressure, but we still had pressure to perform, and we did. But then in the biggest moments, it seems like we've wilted, and we did again, and we wilted in our mentality. It was soft, it was weak, and those were the two biggest questions: was the defense and just the overall mentality. Could we live up to the moment? And in the biggest moment, we fell apart from the jump. After that, we had another goal given up, with Matt Freese coming out of his box, whiffing, and another problem, the goalkeeping. USA used to have some really great goalkeepers. We don't anymore. We're playing Matt Freese, an MLS goalkeeper. He's a penalty specialist, but he had not really had too many games in the United States where he'd stood on his head and blocked a bunch of shots. His biggest performance had been in penalty situations for us, and he came out of his box, whiffed with his left foot, not good with his feet or goalkeeping. That's the biggest issue with American goalkeeping currently, is the goalkeepers that are in their prime are okay to find shot stoppers, but they can't play with their feet, and it was awful, and gave it up. They shot the ball on goal. Tim Ream tried to defend it, but I don't know if his just was too good it wasn't that great of a shot, but he probably, if he's a couple years younger, could have blocked it, but just wasn't in the cards. Deflected off him, still winning goal. And then we gave up another late one to Lukaku to really seal the deal. But it was over before then. We weren't creating anything in the game. We had, looking at the stats here, we had 7 shots and only 2 on target, 0 big chances in the game, 0.63 expected goals. Just really had nothing going for us. And this is with, guys like KDB and Lukaku on the bench, so for most of the game. So, and I don't even know if KDB came into the game. No, they subbed on. Unana got hurt early, I remember that, but then Doku and Lukaku coming in the game late. They didn't start one of those guys or KDB, and they still just demolished us. So just really disappointing, because this was the chance, in front of the world, in front of a huge crowd in Seattle, in front of most of America, not most of America, but a good chunk of Americans. This is the most watched game for the USA in this tournament, maybe the most watched game of the tournament. And we didn't even put in a performance so we could hold our heads high at the end of the game. At minimum, that's what needed to happen. At minimum, we needed to put in a performance that we could be proud of. If we lose, but we come out fearless and play hard and show that we're willing to fight and that this is a tough team and that, go out with a, blaze of glory, that's different. But this was not that. This was a stomping. This was pathetic. And I don't really have a lot of things more to say about it than it was just pure disappointment for me, for someone that follows this team every game, follows these guys at their clubs. This was the biggest moment, the biggest chance that they're probably going to have in their careers, and it really, really, really hurt to see it go like this, and to not have really a single player put in a full performance. Malik Tillman was better in the second half. I'd say he probably was the best player for us. Um, Belgium didn't play awful, but Pulisic didn't play good at all, and he got hurt. I'm glad I didn't record this because initially I was so mad at Christian Pulisic for coming out, and I thought it was really, really soft how he played and how he came out. Turns out he actually does have a rather serious leg injury, so I'm glad I didn't, record this that evening and spend 20 minutes yelling about how I think he's pathetic and how I think he's soft, because that wouldn't have been fair. But yeah, it just wasn't good. Sergiño Dest had one of the worst halves. He got pulled at halftime. Had one of the worst halves I've ever seen him play in a USA uniform. Ever seen him play? Period. Just had nothing. Had none of his attacking skill. Nothing he was doing was working, and it was bad. It was really, really tough. And yeah, just it was in front of the world, and all USA diehard soccer fans and USA casual soccer fans only tune in every World Cup, and they just were not only unimpressive, they were awful, and the attitude was awful, and just was really, really tough to watch, and for this entire week, it's been tough for me to swallow that that's what happened. Because that's not how any you watch any of the other games we played in this World Cup, and it was not an indicator that that would be the way we went out in this tournament. I thought if we were gonna lose this game, that it was going to be us going down, fighting, and just losing, and that's just the way it is, in sports, where sometimes you're an equal. I mean, Belgium was equal to us, if not better, in terms of talent. Definitely better with their older guys, Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne, but like Doku's incredible too. But otherwise, I mean, we're relatively close to Belgium, but we didn't look it at all, and just is really disappointing. That's not how I thought that game would go. And I don't think there's any performance in the 4 or 5 games before. Game versus Senegal where we won, the game versus Germany where we lost, but we looked, really good and played with them. Paraguay, Turkey, we played the subs. Australia, none of those games indicated that this team was soft and would do this in this moment, and they did. And that's really, really tough. It just personally was really, really hard for me to see after being a guy for all these years who's stuck by this team, who's stuck by these players, who has been argued on their behalf, both in terms of what they deserve and what teams they deserve and what to play on, and the high level guys like defending Christian when he was at Chelsea, defending Weston, always being, the guy out at Juventus for a couple years. Every single summer, they'd be like, "We wanna get rid of this guy." He'd lose his number, he'd lose his locker, he'd lose his spot in the parking lot, and then he'd fight for his position, end up being a starter by the middle of the season. Um, Defending Brendan Aronson when he was at Leeds, Tyler Adams, his worth, all these guys that I've watched all their games and defended how good they are to American fans, and defended, how good I think they really are. For them to do this as a collective was really, really tough. All I really have to say about this game otherwise is my fear is that they blew it so bad that it's going to go back to the status quo, because this was the chance. This is a home World Cup with our best team ever. This was the chance for American soccer to really, 94 was the home World Cup where we created MLS and we created a pro league, and we really opened the floodgates of what soccer could start to be. And then this was supposed to be the second coming of that World Cup, where not only do we, host a World Cup and show that we care about soccer, but that we're good at soccer and that we can compete with, at least the second tier of European teams, and the second tier of South American teams and with African teams and with the best teams in Africa and the best teams in Asia that we could play Morocco and get a result that we could maybe not Morocco. Morocco's very very good, but like play Senegal, we play Ghana and get results. Japan, we can play them and get a result. That we can be tough, against a Belgium and possibly get a result. That we can play Spain and not look like we're completely horrible. And instead of doing that and proving that in this last game, we did not, and we did the opposite. And so my fear is that casual fans will once again not tune in to USA soccer games. They'll barely tune into any soccer games except for maybe a couple Champions League games for the next 4 years. That they'll not talk about or not pay attention to USA Soccer. That ESPN and Fox won't talk about USA Soccer until the next World Cup, and that's what needed to be changed. In terms of the media coverage and the fans watching, that's what needed to happen in this game, and it didn't happen. And so that's my biggest fear is that they played so bad that we're back to the mentality of, oh, we're just not good enough, we suck, and we'll catch again in 4 years. And so my personal plea to the people that enjoyed watching this team and enjoyed watch Paraguay and were like wow, and watch the Bosnia game and were impressed with how we played, is to not give up on the U.S. men's national team, to tune in, to you don't have to tune into every little friendly or every to where we're playing Trinidad. You don't have to tune into that. But if we're playing Mexico in a Nations League final or Canada in a Nations League final, if we get to the chance to play Copa America in a couple of years, which I'll talk about that in my video where I talk about the future of this team, where that can be really important. If we're playing in a big game, I hope that ESPN will cover who's on the roster, will cover the game. If in that fans will tune in and watch and go to the games, if there's a USA game in your city, consider going. Go to those games, see this team play. That's my personal pleas. Don't stop watching the U.S. men's national team for another 4 years. Please tune into a couple games. Like I said, you don't have to tune into every friendly, every little game, but if it's a big game, if it's important, if it's a Nations League for a trophy, it's a Gold Cup final, if it's Copa America, tune in. Support this team. Do what you did for this World Cup because they felt it, and it was very gratifying for them, and it was very gratifying for me, a guy that watches every single one of these games. And continue to watch soccer in general, please. If you have a local MLS team or USL team, go to a game. Um, if you're not interested in that, but you want to watch a Premier League, the Premier League, or you want to start following Real Madrid or Barcelona or any team in Europe, go start doing that. If you just want to follow a league in Europe and you want to watch, you're a German American, you want to watch the Bundesliga, watch the Bundesliga. If you don't really have any team to support, but you want to watch really, really good soccer, tune into Champions League midweek matches and tune into the Champions League throughout the year. You can watch a ton of different teams from a ton of leagues. You can watch the best of the best, and you'll watch a ton of these players that played in this World Cup. Tune into that, but just continue to watch soccer, continue to grow and learn, and continue in your love of it. And if you enjoyed soccer this summer, it doesn't end for 4 years. It really doesn't. There are wonderful games, both local, albeit MLS and USL are significantly lower level than the World Cup. But if you want to support a local team, support a local team. If you want to watch soccer as good as this, tune into a big European league or start following a European club or just watch the Champions League. Do something, because this kind of soccer, this kind of excitement, it's not just every 4 years. It's every weekend. It's every Tuesday, Wednesday, midweek Champions League. It's the Champions League knockouts at the end of the year. This kind of stuff doesn't stop. Now the World Cup is the best. I'm not going to deny that it's the best. It's national. When you combine a sport like soccer, any sport with national pride, with this kind of trophy, with this kind of eyeballs, nothing's going to really fully compare. But if you like soccer and like some of what you saw, please don't just stop for 4 years. There is soccer on, and it's enjoyable. And if you liked this team and if you love Flo Balogun, start watching Monaco. Or if he gets a transfer, start watching him at club. If you liked what you saw out of Christian Pulisic in that first game versus Paraguay, tune into him at AC Milan. Whatever guy you liked on this team, you thought Alex Freeman was great, start watching Serie A and watch some Villarreal. See if he can really break into that team and get a spot. Get a starting spot on that team. You like Sergiño Dest and you want to pay to watch the Dutch league, or you just want to watch PSV in the Champions League and watch him, dribble past players, do that. Please do. You won't regret it. Soccer is a great sport. And I know this is really, really, really disappointing, and this is the exact worst outcome possible. But this team is still special. They still have something, and they might still have. This was their biggest chance, and might be their last chance, but there might be a few more on the horizon. So, my overall thoughts are, was just really gutted and disappointed with the entire thing. Really left a sour taste in my mouth after what was a really good World Cup up until then for this team. Historically good World Cup for the United States. So that's all I have for this episode. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you all, and we still got a little bit of World Cup left. So enjoy it while it's here. Whether we see England finally won for the first time since 1960. Which, listen, I wasn't going to talk about the Flo Balogun thing. I'm still not going to dive into all the politics and everything and what possibly could have happened. But if England's in the final, listen, Donald Trump, please put in the same call you made to Infantino, and please make sure they don't win. But hey, that could be a historic thing that happens. England wins, Argentina wins, gets Messi another one. They ride off into the sunset with their national hero winning another World Cup. Spain with Lamine Yamal and this team that it has this new generation of Spain that's been really, really good. And or the Death Star that is France wins a second World Cup in 3, and the last one they lost would have been in penalties. So could have even won 3 in a row. Just a historically great team in France, as dominant of a team as we've maybe ever seen. So still got tons of 3 plus a third place game, which doesn't mean as much, but 4 great matches of World Cup left. So tune into those. Really disappointing out for the USA, but there's still hope. There's still possibilities for this team at the end of the day. And if you liked what you saw, please don't quit supporting for the next 4 years, because this team needs your support, and they can do special things. And we have to keep believing that that's possible, and believing that the next time we get back in this situation, whether it's in 4 years or whether it's a completely new team in 8 years or 12, the next time we get this opportunity, that we're not gonna perform like that, and we're gonna show that we're better than what we did um, on Monday. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you have a very good morning, evening, whatever it is for you. And please keep tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.